Let's begin starting in child's pose. Make sure you have two blocks or a stretchy band available to you. When you do child's pose, bring the big toes together to touch. Don't let the knees be very wide apart. Imagine here that the inner thigh meat is going to cradle the rib cage, the outer rib cage, and then lay down. If you find yourself, lie down. If you find that you have a rounding spine here, you can always take a little support underneath the forehead, or if you find that you're particularly tight this morning, or you can just allow your forehead to rest directly onto the earth. Arms can be stretched out in front, behind you, or in any other position that you find comfortable for yourself. Allow your groins to soften deep back towards the pubic bone, looking for a neutral pelvic tilt here, not lifting the tailbone up or sending it forward. And then make a few adjustments. Lifting up, you can inhale, lift up slightly from the back body and move the rib cage away from the pelvis, and then bring yourself back down, resting here. Connect your mind to the movement of the breath and feel the breath come in and out through the nose, using the Ujjayi breath here if you know it and it's in your practice. And if not, not worrying too much about it, rather focusing on the softness of the breath, looking for long, smooth, even breathing. And touching all parts of the body with the mind in your practice right now, looking for anything that's particularly tight or feels stuck, and encouraging everything to let go and soften here. And as you release in this way, bringing more awareness to the back body, the lowest part of the rib cage, all the way up to the shoulders. And we're going to start breathing deeply into the back body, working to lift the rib cage up and expand it outward, focusing more on the back of the rib cage than on the front of the rib cage, but not neglecting the front of the rib cage. So wherever you are in your cycle of breath, exhale here. Take a deep inhalation through the nose. As you inhale, lift the rib cage up off of the back of the body. Feel as though the rib cage spreads and widens. You may notice the spine lengthens. Deep, full inhalation. At the top of the inhalation, pause, just a moment, brief moment, and then a long, slow exhalation. As you exhale, let the belly button draw back towards the pubic bone, towards the internal body, away from the surface of the front body. And then we'll repeat that 4 more times. Exhale, inhale, lifting the rib cage up and away from the back of the body, feeling the spinal column lengthen, get to the top, pause, and a long, smooth, slow exhale as you feel the belly button retracting backwards towards the pubic bone, hollowing out here. 3 more times, taking your own time here as you listen to my cues. Maybe they sync up, maybe not. You inhale, pause, exhale. Everything is moving through the nose here, the breath. Inhaling 2 more times, big inhale, feel the back of the rib cage. Notice if it's challenging to get any movement there, and just encouraging as much as possible, spreading between each rib, pausing at the top of the inhale, a long, slow, smooth exhale. 1 more time, inhale, opening, 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 lifting the back of the rib cage up, widening it, spreading it. Pause, and a long, slow exhalation. Finishing the exhalation, use the inhale to rise all the way up. Let it be a long inhalation as you bring yourself to an all fours position, stamping the palms of the hands directly beneath the shoulders. Then let's turn the fingertips out to the side for a moment, warming up the wrists here. You can be on the tips of the toes, or the tops of the toes can be on the ground, whatever's best for you. But think here about a slight tuck of the tailbone, posterior pelvic tilt, a slight tuck of the tailbone as you hollow out the belly, and then making some small circles to the right and to the left as you stretch the wrists, fingers pointed towards the outside edge of the mat. And then when you feel good with that, turn the fingertips to face behind you and begin to rock yourself forward and back, just gently letting the palm of the heel of the palm lift maybe slightly as you get all the way back. I love to bend one elbow and then the other, finding that thing that feels best for you. And as you warm up the wrists in this way, don't forget about the belly, the pelvic tilt, crucial areas of the body to pay attention to in any movement practice you may do. A few more breaths here. And then turning the hands to face forward, the fingertips face forward. Walk the knees all the way together to touch. Hover the thumbs up off of the ground. And then keeping all 4 fingers on both hands onto the ground. Exhale. Dome the upper back. Inhale. Lift just the palm of the hand. So the fingers stay all the way down. That's 1, 2. The thumb is hovering. 3. The shoulders are stacked over the wrists. 4, 5. 6, fingers stay all the way down. You may hear some popping. 7, 8, we're going to go to 15, 9, 10, keep the low belly tucked in, tailbone tucked. 12, 13, finding your own rhythm. 14, and 15. Release, turn the backs of the hands onto the ground one at a time or both at the same time, whatever feels best for you. A little counter stretch for the wrists. Maybe you even want to make a fist and bend the elbows a little bit here. Just really warming up the wrists. And then sit back onto the heels. You can keep the toes tucked for a toe stretch if that feels good for you. I love to do that. Then take the belt out in front of you. Holding the belt out in front of you. This works best for me with an elastic band, but you can use a yoga strap as well. Arms are totally straight here. Thumbs face each other. Let's shoulder floss a little bit. So you inhale, lift the scapula, the shoulder blades up to the ears, and exhale, retract them down. And then up, inhale, and to exhale. So lifting, elevating the scapula, and then exhale, depress the scapula. So a few times at your own pace. As you do this, think about the lowest part of the rib cage, as much as possible, keeping the pelvis stable. See, can you lift the low ribs up, feeling the whole rib cage lift up, stretching, opening, widening, deep, smooth breathing. One more time, inhale, bring it up, and then exhale. Bring it back, hold at that place where you find it to be its most challenging. Keep the chest lifting here, keep the rib cage lifting away from the pelvic area. The face is soft and relaxed. Smooth, deep breathing here. Nice, easy stretch on the toes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, inhale. Bring the arms all the way up. Now lift the scapula, elevating the scapula, the shoulder blades from the back body all the way up towards the ears. Allow the shoulders to squeeze in towards the ears here. Pull apart on the belt as much as possible so you feel the outer armpit activate. And then think to wrap the tricep in towards the face, the armpit in towards the face, lifting, pushing up towards the sky. 3, 2, 1, and then some intuitive movement. Anything that feels good for you here. I love to make these circles, thinking about keeping the arms as straight as possible as you move just in the shoulder girdle, so not letting the elbows take the work. You can come off of the toes if you're feeling like, oh, this is terrible for me, and then release and relax. One more shoulder strengthening exercise before we move on. If you came off the toes just now, you can tap the tops of the feet onto the ground and get a little bit of release. Go ahead and grab a block in one hand. In the right hand, the left wrist is directly under the left shoulder, and you're pushing and lifting away. So today we're going to do a lot of this pushing action of the hand pushing into the ground. Even if there's not any movement involved, the feeling is just that the hand presses into the ground. The upper back domes slightly. Grabbing the block in the right hand and pointing it off towards the right side. We're going to lift and lower 10 times. Keep the arms straight here. Exhale. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't forget about the low belly. 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. And you can set that block back, take the right wrist directly underneath the right shoulder, push down to dome the upper back. The left hand grabs the block and points out towards that left edge of the mat or the left corner of the body, and then we'll lift and lower 10 times. Go at your own pace. I might move faster or more slowly than you. It's no problem. Whatever you're at, wherever you are is fine. That's 3 for me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. We're going to hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Take a relaxed pose here for a second in a puppy pose. So if you have the flexibility, the chin can come forward and the chest can come to the ground. Otherwise, it's no problem to have the elbows slightly bent and the forehead to the ground. Thinking about lifting the tailbone and anterior pelvic tilt here as you lift the tailbone towards the sky and bring the chest down, softening and relaxing the shoulders. You can also take a child's pose here if it feels good. Finish the exhale. Inhale, rise yourself all the way up. Let's do some spinal undulations here, waking up the spine first in a tabletop position. So this is a lot about push, lift, push, lift. So you can see the shoulder blades protract, they open at the back body, they retract, they squeeze at the back body. At the same time, the tailbone anterior pelvic tilt and then posterior pelvic tilt. So you can imagine posterior or anterior retract, posterior protract. So you can play with that a few times. Maybe that's enough for you. But if you want to take it a little bit further, then you begin to link those movements with a forward and backward motion. So you're taking the weight behind the wrists, in front of the wrists, behind the wrists, in front of the wrist. And you can involve the head here, looking up, looking down, maybe reverse the order, protraction posterior, retraction anterior, and then taking any intuitive movements that feel good. Thinking here about really lifting the rib cage off of the body and away from the pelvis. And then we'll bring ourselves up into our first downward facing dog. So take the hands a little bit in front of the shoulders and step the feet back. Maybe the heels hit at first, maybe not. Either way, it's fine. Press the firm hands into the ground equally on the right side and the left side. The fingers are spread here. Feel the root of the thumb press down maximum, and then follow that line of energy all the way up to the shoulder girdle. Wrap the tricep towards the front of the body and the bicep moving up towards the ceiling or the sky as you take the shoulder blades back towards the buttocks. Taking any movements that feel good here for you. A few breaths, and then we're going to take some of these spinal undulations, these spinal waves into our downward facing dog. Here the knees will bend and straighten. So you can watch, or if you already know where we're going, you can just start moving into it. You'll exhale, inhale, you rock forward like to a plank. Look forward, bend the elbows in, and exhale back. So the elbows bend in without the hands moving, and this is teaching the screwing of the hands into the ground to get a very stable position of the hand onto the earth. Tailbone up, tailbone back, moving here a few more times, and then maybe in the opposite direction 1 or 2 times. Remember, you can always take a moment to rest. You're building up strength, endurance, flexibility, and all of those things take time. Come back to a neutral position, downward facing dog or child's pose. We'll take a little bit of rest here. So if you find you're already fatiguing, child's pose is going to be right for you. But if you have some endurance, some muscle endurance already, then downward facing dog is great. Deepening the breath, using the Ujjayi breath if you have it, and then step the left foot in towards the midline of the mat. If you're in child's pose, you'll want to rise up now. You're going to point the toes of the right foot, lifting the foot right off the ground. The left foot is going to stay down as much as possible, and then we're going to kick the right leg up into the air, a little ballistic stretching here. So you'll exhale, inhale, kick that leg up. We're going to do 8 times. That's 2. Opening that hip flexor, but trying not to open the hip too much. That's 4 for me. Take your time here. 5. Keep the hands pressing into the earth. 6. Feel the outer armpits engage. 7 and 8. On the 8th time, leave the leg up, taking any movement that feels good. I like to open the hip here. Maybe you even want to drop all the way over. Maybe you're already ready for that. Depends on who you are. And then take that foot back down to the ground. We're gonna go right to the second side. If you need to rest, of course, always take time to rest. It's no problem. Right foot steps to the midline of the mat, left toes point, and then the left foot lifts slightly. Press the hands down firmly and evenly, and then kicking that leg up. Try not to open the hip too much. We're just warming up that hip flexor. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 8th one, holding and now letting the hip open, taking any position or movement that feels good as you stretch and lengthen here. Place the foot back down onto the ground, roll your spine forward as you come all the way to the knees, and then press yourself right back to a child's pose. We're not going to overdo it today. Resting the forehead onto the ground, we're going to learn some strengthening for the shoulders so that we can find some support in our arm balances and in our inversion work. So you're in child's pose, resting here, smoothing out the breath, slowing it down. Finishing the exhalation, and then inhaling and bringing yourself up. Let's do a little more shoulder activation before we take some leg flexibility stretching. So you can do this in a plank position or an all fours position. Choose what's right for you. We're just going to do some scapula push-ups or retraction and protraction work. So if you're in a plank position, tuck the tailbone slightly, hollow out the low belly. Same thing if the knees are on the ground. So the only change is that the knees are down. You can see the difference here as I move from plank to knees down. And then you're going to protract, retract. The head stays in a neutral position. Do 10 times, that's 3 for me. Squeezing the shoulder blades strongly. Each time you retract, it's a small movement. Keep the tailbone slightly tucked. Don't overdo it in the low back. Opening the back body as much as possible. 3, 2, 1, and then release. Go ahead and bring yourself forward. Come onto your sitting bones, moving anything out of the way so that we can do a little leg flexibility here. So you can use your hands onto the ground here. They can be slightly behind you to support, or if you want it to be a little bit more challenging, you just release the hands. The feet are a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. You can watch here. I'm going to sit up as straight as possible and then drop both knees to the left, keeping that length of the spine. Knees come back up and to the right. We're just going to do this 4 times or so on either side. Take your time here. Breathing smooth and even, coming back. On this next time that you go to that left side or the first side you started on, now make it a really full twist all the way, and then hold here. 3, relax the shoulder blades. 2, and the face. And 1, come back, and then all the way to the second side. Take it into as deep of twist as possible, relaxing the shoulders, the face, feeling it especially in the back leg, the hip. Smile and exhale and release. Bring the legs all the way together here. The toes stretch out in front of you, just taking a little bit of hamstring stretch at first. Noticing the sitting bones coming to the front of the sitting bones, which indicates that you're more in an anterior pelvic tilt. The tailbone is pointing up. I like to point my toes here, but you can flex the feet, whatever feels right for you. And then just allow yourself to take whatever movements feel good. We're not going into our deepest forward fold Paschimottanasana right now. We're just taking a little bit of stretching, and we're going to work this push action a little more with the arms. And so a nice stretch, and then maybe you come into your deepest stretch, observing the fronts of the tops of the feet, the center of the ankle, the center of the knee, the center of the hip. They should all be in one line. You can really inspect if you have one leg like me that's maybe overly externally or internally rotated, and then working to undo those habitual body patterns by straightening yourself out here as much as possible. Within your capacity, everybody's body is different. And then breathing into it. If you keep the vision forward, especially if you have a rounded upper spine, a really rounded upper spine, then that'll help lengthen the spine better. Feel the outer hips engage, smoothing out the breath here. Finish the exhale, inhale, bring yourself all the way up, and then we're going to play with this push action a little bit more. And so the further the hands come forward, the more challenging this movement is going to be. We're going to be lifting and lowering the legs, either one at a time or both. So you can start with the hands farther back and just see where you're at. I'm going to take my hands right about to the knee position. What matters here is that you push the hands down firmly. You can see the difference here. I'm pushing the hands down firmly. The leg muscles activate. I'm just going to lift the right leg 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the left. What matters here, counting to 10, is that you keep pushing through the hands into the ground and feel that protraction across the shoulder blades at the top of the upper back. So the shoulder blades are widening and spreading here. I think I'm at 10. And then I'm going to release and come back into a full stretch. Keep looking forward towards the big toes, paying attention to the tailbone positioning and the low belly. Smooth, deep breathing here. We'll do it one more time. When I'm in these positions, I like to really think about the rib cage at the back body. Healthy breathing, healthy energy consumption really has to do with our ability to expand our lungs fully, and a healthy, open, flexible rib cage matters for that. Inhale, come back up. Maybe you want to take the hands a little bit farther and you can play here. Maybe you want to lift both legs up off of the ground if that's within your practice. If not, it's okay, just one leg at a time. 10 is what we're aiming for. Do what you can. Remember that the main point here is pushing the hands into the ground. So push the hands into the ground, the spine rounds slightly, tuck the tailbone, and then here we go. 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep pushing. 8, 9, 10, and maybe you have 10 to do on the opposite leg if you're doing one leg at a time, and that's okay. And if you're not, take a little stretch. Notice that you get a little bit deeper here. Feeling into the full body. If you finish both sides, take a little stretch. Needing about 30 seconds in each stretch to get maximum benefit for enhancing our flexibility. Static stretching, as important as dynamic or ballistic stretching. And take the legs wide. Turn to face the wide edge of the mat. Whenever I do this, I always move the flesh of the buttocks out of the way, rolling the butt back. I don't have a tail or a hair tie today, so that's sort of annoying because I'm pretty sweaty, but you can flex the feet or point the toes. I'm working on pointing the toes. It's not your widest full splits position. It's just a wide leg seated forward fold. Maybe your legs need to be in a little bit closer. You have to gauge that for yourself. And then just take a few moments as you stretch yourself from side to side. Just noticing that you're only coming into this stretch for the first time. We're going to hold it for a little bit and just finding anything that feels good. If you want to really stretch the front leg, moving out towards the tips of the toes, that can be great. A few breaths on one side and then maybe the other side. And come back up to neutral. We're going to take some seated straddle good mornings. You may need to bring the feet closer together here. Put the hands down at the roots of the thighs and encourage the thighs not to internally rotate too much. Then lift the chest here. We're going to go forward 10 times without touching the ground. Just go until you almost touch the ground and then come back up. That's 1, 2. Keep the muscles of the legs active. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the 10th one, hold, pointing the toes or flexing the feet, and then release the hands if it feels good for you, maybe even taking them in front of the body. I like to bring them behind the back body. Holding here, 5, 4, 3, lift the chest, 2, 1, and then take a full fold. You can be up on the elbows here. Feet can be flexed or pointed, whatever feels best for you, but keep the feet active and engaged, and then allow yourself to relax here. We're going to stay for a few breaths. If you want to do some movement with the back body, by all means, feel free to. Smoothing out the breath, slow and deep, letting that be your primary focus, keeping the physiological arousal low, even though you're putting the body through its paces. Exhale. and then inhale and bring yourself all the way up. So again, we're going to do this push action. The hands, the closer they are to the pelvis, then the easier this will be. And for some of you, you may even need to have the hands behind you to support, and that's also okay. What matters here, if the hands are in front, is that again, you get this protraction of the shoulder blades as you push the palm firmly into the ground. Tighten up the quadricep muscle, the muscle at the front of the thigh, and then lean back slightly as you round the spine, tucking the tailbone, and begin to lift the heels off of the ground. And we'll just do 4, 3, 2, 1, release, frame the right leg, push down. That's the primary. Even if the leg doesn't lift here, it's okay. The push action is what matters. And then just try to lift the leg as many times as possible. 5, 4, keep pushing. 3, 2, 1, and then left side. Push down, roll the spine, tuck the tailbone, hollow the belly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then come back to a neutral position. Maybe you can grab the big toes here, coming into a more traditional Upavishta Konasana, wide leg seated forward fold, and allow the shoulders to roll down to the ground. Relax the face, relax the breath. It's okay. Maybe you're here. If you're here, lift the chin, lift the chest. If you have a really rounded spine, you may also be here today. And you just have to honor that that's where you're at. Everybody's body is different. And if you try to go too far too fast, you'll actually lead yourself more towards injury than towards health. A few more breaths here. Exhale. Press through the hands. Inhale. Come up. Take the hands to the outer knees. Bring the bottoms of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. Just a breath or two here, holding around the tops of the feet. And then if it feels good for you, bringing the heels in towards the pubic bone as much as possible and coming forward with the chin, with the chest. But it's also okay to just stay upright if you're working the flexibility of the back body. Or maybe you're just feeling tired today and you want to hold the stretch but not too deep. That's also okay. Inhale. If you took the fold, rise up, bring your hands back to the outside edges of the knees, walk the knees back in towards each other, and then bring yourself to all fours. Then the hands come a little bit in front of the shoulders, the feet come back, and then take yourself into another downward facing dog. Watch here, we're going to do a little bit of this push action before we take some sun salutations. So push the hands firmly into the ground, feel the outer armpit light up, come high up onto the tips of the toes, and then begin to walk yourself forward. Notice that point where you take weight into the hands and push down even more at that point. Bring yourself all the way to the front of the mat. Keep that pressure down, even if the knees are bent here because the hamstrings are tight, and then step yourself back to downward facing dog. We're going to do that 2 more times. So you rise high up onto the tips of the toes, and then pushing through the hands. Notice that point where the shoulders come in front of the wrists. You take the weight, step all the way forward, keep pushing down, and take yourself all the way back. Last time. Come to the tips of the toes, push, both arms equally, steady the shoulders here, step forward, spread the feet hips width distance apart, shake out the head, letting the arms hang in any position that feels best for you and your body. Take a few breaths here in a forward fold. If the knees have to bend, bending the knees, but if you can straighten the legs here, straightening the legs as much as possible, working into the hamstrings, engaging the quadriceps. Let the head shake out and go. If you want to take a more traditional Uttanasana, you can walk the feet all the way together. Fingertips are lined up with toe tips, heels of the palms, press into the ground. So again, we have that press action as you wrap the elbows in towards the outer edges of the knees. Thinking about the inner upper thighs and pressing them away from each other, relaxing the face and the head here as much as possible. Keep some pressure into the base of the thumb and the base of the pinky finger. Shaking out the head, bend the knees here, exhale, round the spine, inhale, come all the way to standing, and let's do a few Surya Namaskars to warm up the hip flexors a little bit more. We're going to do some Hatha Surya, so maybe a little different than what you're used to. especially if you normally practice with me. So we do one round on either side, hitting the right side and the left side before we complete one circuit, basically. So hands come together in front of the heart center, allow the eyes to close, a few breaths here, igniting the Ujjayi breathing once again, if you use that in your practice, and connecting to the feeling in the body. Exhale. Inhale, open the eyes, the hands come down by the sides. Exhale here. Inhale, the arms come up, lean back slightly, look up, and then exhale, take a fold. Inhale, lift the chin, look forward. Keep the right foot where it is. As you step the left leg back, drop to the left knee. Inhale, rise up, look to the palms, and then exhale. Plant the hands, step the right leg back, drop the knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Keep the right foot where it is. Bring the left foot forward, drop the right knee to the ground. Inhale, rise up, palms touch, look up, and exhale. Hands come down. Bring the right foot all the way forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, lean back, look up, and then exhale, palms come together. Inhale, arms up, lean back, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen. Keep the left foot where it is. Step the right leg back. Drop the right knee to the ground. Inhale, rise up, palms touch, look up, and then exhale. Plant the hands back to a plank position, downward facing dog. Knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot comes forward, left knee drops. Inhale, low lunge, rise up. Exhale, left foot comes forward, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, lean back, and exhale, samastiti. So that's one round. We'll do two more rounds. Take your own time here, whatever pace you're at, mine or yours, but I'll talk you through it. Inhale, rise up, lean back, look up, and exhale, fold. Inhale, lift, look forward, lengthen. Right foot stays where it is. Left knee drops to the ground, low lunge. Exhale, plank to downward facing dog. Knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, low lunge here. Inhale, rise up, feel it in the hip flexor. Exhale, right foot comes forward. Inhale, rise up, lean back. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, lift the chin, lift the chest. Left foot stays where it is. Knee of the right leg drops. Low lunge. Inhale. Exhale, plank to down dog. Inhale. Knees, chest, chin. Cobra. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward. Left knee drops. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, step all the way forward. Inhale all the way up. Lean back. And exhale, samastiti. Last time, follow me, you're at your own pace. Inhale, arms up, lean back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the chest. Right foot stays where it is. Left knee drops, low lunge. Inhale up and exhale. Plank to down dog. Inhale here, exhale. Knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Left foot forward, low lunge. Inhale up and exhale. Right foot forward and inhale all the way up, right to the left side. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Left foot stays where it is. Back with the right knee. Inhale up and exhale, back. Dropping the knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Right leg forward. Left knee drops. Inhale up and exhale, forward fold. Separate the feet a little wider than hips width distance apart here. Allow the head to hang, shaking it out, and relaxing the rib cage away from the pubic area. Smooth the breath out here, maybe bend the knees a few times, moving from side to side. Exhale. And inhale, come up. So I didn't say this, but if you have a wall space, you want to use the wall space today. We're going to walk up and down the wall 3 times just to warm up the shoulders a little bit more before we take headstand. If you don't have a wall space, then you can hold plank. You just hold plank as long as you can, come down, rest, hold it again, and do that for 3 times. If you have a wall, you start in a plank position, and then you walk yourself all the way up. If you're like me and you have a light here, you avoid the light, and then you bring yourself all the way back down. You don't worry to take extra time right to a plank, and then walk up. Take your time here. You may have to stop the video. I have this light to avoid, so I'm taking my time. And then if you have the wall or you're holding a plank, you can walk in as close as possible, or you hold the plank for as long as you can. So right now, I'm going to count us off to 20. If you're at the wall, get as close as you can, tuck the tailbone, push the root of the palm into the ground as hard as possible. Chin can be to the chest, or you can look forward here. Smoothing out the breath cycle, keep that tailbone tucked. Feel the low belly hollow out. Just 5 more. 1, 2, feel the fingertips, the tips of the toes. 3, 4, and 5. If you're in plank, release it. If you walk up the wall, come out gracefully and slowly. And let's set up for headstand. If you do your headstand at the wall, you want to set up at the wall, be about 1 fist width distance away. We're going to take a traditional headstand here. So I'm going to show you, if you have headstand, just go ahead and go up into it. You're going to hold for 20 breaths or so and come out, or you can wait for my cue. If you don't have headstand and you're just working towards it, you're not ready to kick up even at the wall yet, you really shouldn't be kicking up in headstand. You interlace the fingers deep to the webbing, tuck the chin, come to the center of the skull, and then hold the back of the head firmly with the hands. The elbows should be right under the shoulders. That's the thing I notice is often wrong with people. So check right now, make sure your elbows are down, and then roll to the inner elbow. Feel the inner elbow press down, and with the pressure of the inner elbow, notice how you're able to lift the shoulders up more. Lifting the shoulders up away from the earth, walk the toes in. If you have a straight leg here, you go up in a straight leg, and if you don't, maybe you're still working your headstand and you want to see me for a second, you just walk the feet in as far as you can, looking to take weight into the wrists, the forearm, the elbow, keeping the tips of the toes down, but you can also let the knees be bent, really working the lift of the shoulders. So we'll stay here, finding that position for you, regulating the rhythm of the breath, tuck the tailbone under slightly, pressing the elbows, the wrists, the forearms down, lift the shoulders up no matter which variation you're in, at the wall or otherwise, looking for this straight line. The toes can be pointed or flexed, whatever feels right for you. And then sink into the rhythm of the breath. I'm going to count here 10 more of my own breath cycles. Come down if you need to, but if you can, you just keep playing with your own positioning. Keep playing with the pressure of the wrists, forearms, elbows down, lifting the shoulders up. Find your endurance muscle. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Exhale. If the legs are lifted, try to bring the legs down straight, slow, with control. The tips of the toes touch, or maybe the knees bend, and the tops of the feet come down. And then rest yourself no matter what position you took in child's pose. Allow the forehead to soften onto the ground. Smooth out the breath here, shaking the back body if it feels good. And then as you rest in this position, just listening to me for a second, we're going to take some elbow balance prep or hold elbow balance for our max hold, depending on where you are in your own practice. So we're really building up shoulder strength and stability in this practice today.
I'm going to show you, you can do the wall, you can use the wall, um, you can use the mat. The legs don't have to lift. So the first thing we're going to do is just play with some shoulder stability by lifting and bringing down the elbows. So the wrists line up with the shoulder, with the elbows here. The elbows are directly under the shoulders. And then you're really going to grip the earth with the hands. The fingertips are touching down. The whole palm is activated here. And then lift the knees up off of the ground and bring the chest more towards the thighs. The knees can be as bent as they need to here, and you can be as far away or as close to the elbows as possible with the feet, finding your own positioning. And we're going to hold here for a few breaths, just working into the shoulders, studying the shoulders here. Every posture that you take, no matter how good or bad it feels, and actually the worse it feels, maybe the better, because every posture that you take gives you some information about the health of the areas of the body in which you feel it the most. And so paying attention to where you feel it the most and assessing yourself for what needs to happen to find greater health, stability, endurance, strength, whatever it is that you need. A few more breaths here. Maybe you want to pump back and forth a little bit as you bring the chest towards and away from the thighs. And then come down, rest, child's pose, bring the hands back towards the feet and let the elbows completely soften. And then inhale and come up. We'll do a little bit of strengthening here. Regardless of if you have elbow balance or not, this is great for the body. So same position, wrists stacked over elbows, elbows directly under shoulders, legs lift or knees lift up off the ground, walk in, chest to thighs. Then you're gonna hold the hands exactly where they are, not trying to lose this alignment between the wrist and the elbow. And you're gonna lift one elbow and then the other, drop, drop, up, up, drop, drop. And just keep doing that a few times here. Maybe you have that pretty well, and so now you're working up and down. What matters here is that the hands don't move at all. That's really what we're learning, is how to keep the hands stable, even though the lower arm bone and the upper arm bone and the shoulder are moving in different positions here. 5, take your time. 4, studying your shoulders. 3, 2, last one, elbows drop to the ground, and then bring yourself all the way to child's pose. Forehead softens, arms go back. And now, take a little more rest if you need it, but we're going to come up and practice our elbow balance. So you may need to stay with either one of those two things that we just did, or you may need to come to a wall. Again, you're looking for the same positioning of the wrist in line with the elbow underneath the shoulder. If you're at the wall, you simply walk in. The shoulder has to come in front of the elbow in order to bring you up into the position. So you want to gently come up, and then the legs can be at the wall to hold you here. So if you look at me, I'm at the wall, and then I can easily overdo it with the lower back. So if you are needing the wall, you want to continue to tuck the tailbone as much as possible, even if the legs go back to support you. And if you're ready to go a little bit farther, so if you're using the wall, go a few times up, hold your max, come down. If you're ready to go a little bit farther, we'll play a little bit in our pincha. So you're going to take pincha at first. However it is that you get up there, we're going to do a little bit of strength in it. You can see here why we need that flexibility that we worked on. I'm going to lift up, coming into my pincha mayurasana, really trying to find this position of the wrist in line with the elbow and not losing that at all. We're going to hold here, tucking the tailbone, and then we're just going to bend the knees, bring the knees down and back up a few times, looking to strengthen. So when you feel ready, when you feel balanced, the knees bend, you just bring the knees, feet stay together, slightly down as though they're going to come into the armpit, and then you want to lift right back up. It's hard to do this in talk, so take your time here. Try to do 5. If you fall out, it's okay. Come back up, do it again, down and up 5 times. Maybe you fall out, you have to go back up like me, that's okay. Coming back up. Once you finish your 5th time, come into a straight Pinchamayurasana, tuck the tailbone here, and then we're gonna max hold. So you're gonna stay for as long as possible or until I get to a 20 count. 1, 2, you can always come down and come up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, feel the fingertips, feel the tips of the toes. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Come down with control, slow and relax. The shoulders are probably feeling it. Forehead on the ground. Child's pose, arms go back. Rest here. Just working to increase our endurance, our strength, our stability over time. Taking a few breaths here. Let's release the shoulders. Take a final deep stretch and end for today. So you can come up and then we'll take a thread the needle, coming to all fours. The right arm lifts up, look up. That opens the front body, and then exhale, bringing the arm through. That left hand can be anywhere that feels good. Noticing the breath rhythm here and smoothing it out, slowing down the beat of the heart. Place that left hand back down. Inhale, rise up. The right arm comes all the way up, and then exhale. Release, left side, left arm up, and the left arm through. The right arm can be anywhere that feels good. Relax the face, relax the breathing. Notice here if the hips want to come out of alignment, and try to keep the rotation from the center of the back all the way to the neck, but keeping it out of the lower back and the pelvis. And then inhale, rise up, look up, and then exhale, bring it back down. Turn to face the wide edge of the mat. We'll take a frog pose here. The knees go out to the sides. The ankles, as much as possible, are directly stacked under the knees, tucking the tailbone slightly here so that you feel it go into the hip sockets, the full 360 of the hip socket. Press the inner heel to the ground. Maybe you want to rock back and forth a little bit here. We're going to stay about 10 breaths. Breathing into the groins. We hold a lot of emotions there, a lot of tension, tightness. Just mentally encourage yourself to relax. We did a lot with the shoulders today, so now we're taking it into the pelvis, and actually what that allows the body to do is release all of its focus from the shoulders for a little bit. But you still want to lift up by pressing the elbows down. Don't sink here. The face is soft and the breath rhythm is soft. If you know Mula Bandha, keep your Mula Bandha activated, lifting up at the perineum. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. If you want to keep practicing with me in this practice, then as you develop your strength and stability, you can start to do longer holds in your headstand and your pincha. In your headstand, only do one headstand at a time, increasing the length of time that you stay there one time at a practice. But in your Pinchamayurasana, you can come down and go up and come down and go up. So you can always pause the video if you have a further along practice and stay there looking to increase your length of time or changing the way you rise up into it or come out. A few more breaths here. Bring the feet together, walk the knees in. Whew. The stretch is so intense. Shaking out the hips here a little bit. Send the legs forward and then the feet are onto the ground, a little bit wider than hip width distance. The hands come forward and gently roll the spine down. Let the knees be bent here for just a moment, rolling the head from side to side as you allow yourself to release any tension in the shoulders. We did a lot of shoulder work here. Just take one bridge pose so you can tuck the tailbone here, round the spine, push to the heels, rise up. Walk the shoulders underneath you as much as possible, interlacing the fingers, or perhaps you can even reach the ankles here. Let yourself come to the tops of the shoulders or as close to there as possible. And then pull here as you send the chest towards the chin and allow the ground and the traction of the skin onto the mat or the clothing onto the mat to pull the shoulders down and away from the back of the skull. Keep the heels of the feet pushing down evenly, right, left side. Tailbone is tucked and the inner glutes, outer glutes are slightly engaged here. 5, 4, 3, 2, big inhale. Lift the heels, release the hands, and slowly roll yourself down. Windshield wiper the legs a few times here. The hands can be anywhere that feels right for you. Maybe stay on one side for a few breaths. And then the other side. Bringing the legs back up to neutral. Stretch the right leg out to the right corner of the mat, the left leg out to the left corner of the mat. Tuck the tailbone here and feel the sacrum press evenly to the ground. Releasing the hands by the sides, widen the shoulder blades, spreading them across the back body, and let your eyes close. Allowing the whole body to soften and relax. Feeling as though you're sinking into the earth. Letting the fingers curl in naturally. Moving from the surface of the body deeper and deeper inwards as you find your relaxation point. Relaxation being a crucial element to the learning process. It's where learning becomes integrated for later use. So really allowing yourself to let go here and absorb the benefits of the practice. Hopefully you don't have autoplay on YouTube or whatever you're watching this on, and so you can lie here for as long as you have. Maybe you have a little bit more time before you have to get up and do something else. I encourage you to take it. We're so often robbed of our ability to really authentically rest without time constraints. So if you have that time now, just selfishly take it in a juicy, loving way, knowing that your ability to rest benefits not just you, but everyone you come in contact with. I hope you find some benefit from this practice today. Thanks for practicing with me. I hope to see you again. Namaste.